I'd like to discuss with you how to fit a Rooster carbon tiller to a rudder stock, especially for the first time, but also to ensure that you understand how it's designed. It's not designed to fit perfectly around the stainless steel part of the rudder head. This part is of the rudder, if you like, is the soft part of the rudder head, and it's connected through a couple of rivets to the sidewalls. What it's actually designed to do, it's designed to squash, because of its wedge shape, into down onto the side cheeks of the rudder head itself. And it's done, you do that by wedging it in or kicking it really hard in the cockpit. But effectively, instead of trying to then steer this nice soft stainless steel top on the rudder head, you're actually steering the cheeks that actually hold the rudder itself. You can tell it happens because after you've kicked it in a few times or given it a firm good whack on a carpet or a block of wood with the rudder itself, and I'll show you how you do that in a minute, is that you start to make some grooves in the black end casting of our tiller. Now don't be worried about that, because the tiller has a one-piece of carbon that's wound around a mandrel that goes right through to the end, but the carbon itself is much smaller at this end of the rudder head. And what we do is we mould on the outside of the carbon itself a epoxy and glass bubbles type block that's moulded to do this job. And we expect it to mark, and you can see the marks in my tiller here, where the two aluminium cheeks have made a groove in the bottom of the tiller. That's the top of my tiller. They've made these two aluminium grooves, and that literally says these parts here are in contact with those stiff aluminium plates on the side of the rudder head. So they give them positive steering. I've got to admit that sometimes it's quite hard to get my tiller out of my rudder afterwards, but I'm not worried about that. I can use a hammer and a block, or I can tap it against something hard that's not going to damage my rudder head. But what I do want is really positive steering. So, and I don't want the tiller to wobble up and down either. So again, you'll see that this rudder head on this 2015/16 rudder head has a small amount wobble up and down and a small amount wobble side to side. But until I actually give it its final knock on a piece of carpet, it's now firm up and down and side to side. It wasn't a big hit, but this section can cope with that. And you can see that I've knocked the tiller out of the end many times in the past. Some other things to note when you're looking after your Rooster carbon tiller is just ensure that you keep updating these pieces of PVC tape. You can see on mine I've got red ones instead of black where they come, just to update them, because if you don't, you'll find that the tiller, the plate, although it's glued on, can ping off when you least want it to. But we have replacement ones if you ever need that as well. This being an old tiller, we've got the old style cleat, and again, just to note, we always designed it so that the rope comes out of the rudder head on this side, goes over the top of the tiller. This gives you more length, and then you go through a bowline and back through your tiller. The latest tillers have an easy side access here for the second piece of rope through the cleat, but this enables you to be able to give you plenty of room and plenty of tension in your downhaul rope. And because it goes over the top, it also gives you the length you need for when you come ashore and you want to pull the rudder up. So I wonder how tight my rudder is in my rudder stock. Well, there you go. The rudder clears the water and your knot is still at the end of your tiller. So that's a few briefing notes about how to use a Rooster carbon tiller. Some people don't really quite understand it, but now you've seen how I did it, hopefully you understand to use a fairly soft carpet or a nice piece of wood to bang the tiller into the rudder head. Once you've done that a few times, you'll see how it binds and bonds with the rudder head, and you get really positive steering with your Rooster carbon tiller. If you've got any other problems or questions you want to ask the team, please feel free to phone us up, speak to the Rooster customer services team, or check out all our products to do with carbon and other things at roostersailing.com.